Anjupado Dane Japso Cha, Dage Chinso Jibe Son, Jola Benja Sanje Jobora Sho, Sanje Chuda Soje, La Janjupado Dane Japso Cha, Dage Sonanje, Jola Benja Sanje Jobora Sho, Sanje Chuda Soje Sono. Janjupado Dane Japso Daje Chujin Jibe Sonanje, Jola Benja Sanje Jobora Sho. The Yigish Dende to Kare. This meeting is
recording, and I continue the doctor.
Continue.
CONTINUE continue.
Continues Mindu. Get to Gumido. Get to Gumido. There is got a leave meeting. Got it. GOT got it. Kare.
Understood.
GOT it got.
GOT.
Because a living meetings in Changuchi.
Oh, because maybe David. Are you there, David? Yeah, again, I've got something on his screen there. Maybe it's about
this
recording
meeting
the
is
teaching.
Living recorded.
Yeah, the teaching's being recorded, so just ignore that.
The comment. Gemendo.
Gemendo.
Get a go.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Hola, son. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Tayata Gade, para som gade, body so Tayata Gade, para som gade, body so Tayata Gade, para som gade, body so Hola Suta, Simja Tamjaga, Topjalana Majava Sanje, Kumara Moja Chinaja Tobacha, teacher, the little charges of Labjana Susan, Namslang, Nawale, Single, Shibala, Toba, Tuji Manoa to go to, and the cause of Baba the Dakanja, Chimushiwala, Junju, dinner, and it is to be something.
So we do, as normal, set our motivation as sincerely as we can, and to really aim to attain the purest state of enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. Knowing that in order to attain that state, I must perfect all the trainings on the Bodhisattva path. To train in those, to perfect those in turn, I must have a good understanding, and that must come from a non-mistaken presentation, non-mistaken source. And so it is with this in mind that we are here this morning to hear a teaching from the great text by the great Bodhisattva Shantideva, known as the Bodhisattva's Way of Life.
What that teacher and Namju Nashi Chan to and the social set of it, what the Kubasha and the Simja Tamji, what that can what is Kolon Chen and Rangi Tungi Teto and Tungi Nankala and Warren Tijaza Lama Nova and the Tabjala Tujichimoto Tomba Shaja Toba and Shaji Chani and Utudo de Deba and Casa de Lula Chugun Namsu Sova and yes, I know in Yamshaka to the call, said number. Until the Shen, but most of our show you something. Ragged talk about that teacher about getting a single Tamja, muscle on the you, so what the Kumbacha.
And so then, as usual, having set our motivation, we set up the merit field in the space in front of us. In the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha, in reality, our own root guru. And so the figure we are visualizing is the greatly compassionate, skilled in means one of Shakyamuni Buddha, who has one face and two hands, the right hand in the earth-touching mudra, the left in the meditative equipoise mudra, holding an alms bowl filled with nectar. The body is in the nature of pure, clear light, and we actually have the sensation that he is actually there present. And likewise, and the space all around us are all kind mother sentient beings.
What the Kubasha, Taka, the Degi Daka, to beg any you did get and it took us of the Taka Kuson to you there. 구유의 수구유의 투유의 칠레구유의 아니 라지바 탐절을 저와 신지보다 저 탑let 저와 꼴로 두지 집은 이름을 줘 봐. 다마다 탐제가 된서게 뭐다 되는지 공부시 아니 심제되다 탐제 아니 라나 소소게 아니 가서다 같이 루스도 동에 가리면 돼 뇽시 보가는 남바 안 가서 민내신 남주요게 아니 내게 되는 세트에 아니 또 바투비 공부텔라 아니 가서도 다저 다가도 이지게 또 홍어도 그때 같은데 유에 되겠지 고마시 아니 심제가 동에 나서 삼었다네 아니 텔레미 벤닝제 아니 또 바샤자 투비 둘라 세트에 아니 또 바샤자 투비 구도도 유에 tembe거는 아니 가서다 텔라 다가도 이제 뭐도 그때 맞춰 왔는데 고마시 왔는데
So we are viewing the figure that we are visualizing with this sense of appreciation of the qualities of the Buddha. And so finishing the visualization of the figure that we are in front of us, marked by the letters Hum at the crown, at the throat, and at the heart center. These light rays emanate from the heart center, going out into the pure realms, inviting all of the wisdom beings and empowering deities from those natural abodes. The wisdom beings dissolve into that figure, and the empowering deities confer the nectar of empowerment, which overflows at the crown, spontaneously producing Akshobhya. And then, in our contemplation of this now consecrated figure, we appreciate their qualities of body, speech, and mind, and their skillful means, and that we have that further appreciation of the qualities of an enlightened mind, having no fear of any suffering from themselves, are skilled in means in protecting others from fears, who works with great compassion and without any bias, and works to benefit others regardless of whether they receive any benefit back or any acknowledgement. And so, having thus developed that sense of faith in the sentient beings, that we visualize all the sentient beings all around us similarly, looking towards the figure of the Buddha. They are suffering their own individual sufferings in their own realms, but they have a human intelligence able to cognize what is taking place. And they have this triple faith of the pure faith, of the manifest faith, and the faith of conviction. And so we, in contemplating all the sentient beings all around, we recognize the different suffering, and really from that spontaneously generate compassion. And again, we really see, again, have a further appreciation of the Buddha's body, speech, and mind on the basis of this as well.
대화 탐자 때 딱이 지기 있어. 어떤 라스게는 제가 줘도 아니 제마도 받다 세버리 tungi tangi yoma. Da dende tungi de sula dosna, dende jetuwe niwa kebache de sula dosna, sebje de tuke lamla ngoba sopa sanjebe, dan tabja tuji shimba tiba, an rangi tune seda tuba shaje tuwa kono tu, konji gomba jima tuna tabi tuba chigi samsa hotere gomba she, hotere she.
And so, looking at these sentient beings again all around us, we have a deep sense of their suffering, and finding that unbearable. That sense of compassion arises, and on the basis of that, then the sense of fondness, loving kindness, and fondness arises for them. And we we develop this wish of how wonderful it would be if they were free of the suffering on the one hand, and endowed with that love on the other. And we really want this to happen. I pray that this may be so. Definitely, and we'll work towards it being so, and developing this sense then of really wanting to thoroughly free all sentient beings from suffering and place them into every happiness along with those causes. We developed this exalted intention, and this intention to be able to do that for all sentient beings, quickly followed by, of course, the reality check of saying, I can't even do this for a one sentient being at the moment. And that's when I look around to see what I can do, what sort of qualities I need to thoroughly be able to bring this off, I realize it's the state of enlightenment itself, and that the Buddha, who has kind of like all of these, who's trained, who's kind of developed the mind of enlightenment, trained on the path, and then brought that to fulfillment in the state of enlightenment, and that gives them that special viewpoint, that special place from which to understand the suffering of sentient beings and to be able to help them to completely eradicate it. And so I realized that I have no choice but to attain that state of enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Chukchureku. Chukchureku. The Gila Denwa, the Togu Jungwa, Jungwe, a Giro Moa, Teda, Takun, Shende, Tede, Gewa Taki Sakat.
다 시바들라 시바 겨와 거라 시제로와 겨와라 실제 지르고와 내배도도 거와 제금 세배도도 거와 어느 되고 중에 그런거와 어쨌든 뭐다 진짜 나서라 지금.
So we had arrived at this point of another central outline at 4th1, and this is discussing the dedication of virtue. This is broken down into 4 subheadings. One is the general dedication. The second is a dedication for the sake of those who are sick. And third is dedicating for the eradication of hunger and thirst. And fourthly is dedicating for the arising of whatever one wishes. And so the first of these is a general presentation of dedication, and it reads, verse number 7, thus by the virtue collected through all that I have done, may the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. And so then the explanation here is that therefore through the virtues, all the virtues accumulated by following these 6 branches of the 7-limb practice, that all that I have collected, I dedicate towards the removal of suffering of all sentient beings.
대화 컨텐츠 뭐이네 데메치도 또 뭐지 내가 더 터두게 아니 저그 동행이 개 컨텐츠 뭐이네 뭐 세워지 뭐다 데레치도 뭐에다 지당 뭐 적스 데레치도 와 어디서
And so we read into this, of course, inclusive that in this dedication, it is not only to rid us of all suffering, but also the imprints of those sufferings. And indeed, in doing so, dedicating towards the establishment of happiness for all, and that is both temporary and ultimate happiness, simply by removing these obstacles of suffering.
다 간자 좀세做的 대화 되체 동해 미도바 임바 좀세 디 원도 챘네 다 디치도 거도 심지어 술라 임바 이네 딩고 되게 요구로 와 라라 너바 지금 제바 이네 대화 되체 동해 미도바 챘대요 근데 임바 이제 디 돌에 뭐 되게 중고도 다 좀세데 라기 니에베 좀세 라나 듣고 이베 좀세 라나 야고 집에 좀세 근데 가야 매 봤잖아 좀세데 대화 되체 동해 미도바 그래서 디 좀세도 챘네 보다 뭐 고도 어디래 Yes, hello. 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 Guys. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Again, no, it seems that Noel has dropped out. We'll just wait a minute or two. We can hear you though.
Yeah, okay. Hello, Nola. Hello. No.
Noel's completely gone, Gemma.
Completely.
So I have to wait for him to come back
Yeah,
to his computer.
maybe Noel break.
I'm gonna go on that. Oh,
Recording. Yeah. I think how go masange carry to go na. To go bush to go.
I'm going to continue.
Continue. Oh yeah, that's so. Oh, that's.
Go on.
That ya we single your mother.
A computer day can sound.
Oh, that's. Yeah.
Sorry for the disturbance, everybody. My internet keeps dropping out.
Yeah.
So we were looking at verse number 7. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. So as Genle was pointing out here, the main singular and solitary reasoning behind this dedication is simply that because everybody wants happiness and they don't want suffering. And so it's important to understand this, that there is no kind of narrower reasoning behind that, such as, this person I like, and therefore I want to wish them that they remove all their suffering, etc. It's simply just taking all sentient beings wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. That's reason enough, and that suits for this verse.
다들네 고 지라소 수도 예네 다 고지 동해 민자와 요인상 아니 지라소 수도 예네 지도 다 니번 내미베도 동어와니 아니 가서다 자월래 좋아내와 지세도 내서 주지 봐도네 맨다 맨바 니다다 대내 요체바 쇼스
So the next verse, verse number 8, is again looking at some of these sufferings that were kind of referred to in the previous verse. So it's a dedicating for the benefit of removing all illness of all sentient beings. And this verse reads, "May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed."
그래 단다 저기 된대게 가서데 단다 디 가서데 된대게 다 냠레디 다 야라투 코네다 소사팀 전체 된대게 등고와 지다데다 다디 다다도 做 디순거데 이나 다 소소 냠레 근레치와 있는 거와 지도 다 간제 지도데 아니 개와 데다 그 투였다 개와 데다 그 뉴발레 때네 투라 때네 아니 좋아 내봐 진세도 좋아 내봐 아서 진세도 내수 쇠바 주기 봐도 다 좋아 내봐 주면 내 마수가 봐도 다 진세 내가 내가 내도 쇠바 마주기 봐도 다 해서 다 내서 소소 아니 지거서다 다 가서 가르 고고이만 디 가서 디 아니 가서 디 원을 주치네 그러다 맨고길래 맨고체 맨다 그러다 소소 개와 뭐제바티 뭐티 맨고 아니 지금 된제 간지 고고이나 아니 맨다 아니 다간제 멤버 고길래 아니 멤버 니다 아니 내바들이야 내요 고거는 내요 다 된제 간지 고고 내바 코나라 내 소얘기 내 매바 차야다 내 때도 차야기 아니 된제 간지 고거는 내요 고거는 내요 안되게 제베가 다 내유 제바 쇼스보다 개와지 된게 뭐 되게 주베 주로 되게 용에게는 주로 뭐 제대로 제바 쇼스 제바 뭐잖다.
And so here we're talking about all of the virtue that has been accumulated, to the power of that centering on all sentient beings who are ill or sick or diseased in whatever way, until they are recovered and in full health again. I'm dedicating whatever is necessary, really, is here, whatever is necessary, whatever necessary conditions are there for them to recover. And that, of course, here, in talking about doing this in the course of the 6 perfections, but here centering onto processes of purification of negativity and accumulation of virtue. And so here it's dedicating all of what has been accumulated in that context for the benefit of others in this context. And so if it's a doctor that they need, may they have the doctor, the skilled doctor. If it's the medicine that they need, may they have the best of medicine. If it's a nurse that they need, may they have the most caring and skillful nursing as well. And so it's basically saying that may all sentient beings, I dedicate towards that all sentient beings may be free of all illness, whatever it is, in whatever manner is needed.
암질레 마도하다 맹가를 좀 하도에다 아니 바자를 강에 망고 체대 주고다 근데 강에 세게 주클레자 대주로 뭐 조쇼스 거라다 그 암지다 내바다 맨사 말에 다이 바자를 개개 망고 체요 봐 좋아 지금 앰뷸런스 모터 뒤돌아 레마도에 아니 레투에기 튼제라 주에다 아니 랑가게 바타게 언제 강에 자대 바타게 강에 가리요반에 세게 줄은 거 딱한테 근데 내 소액이 개개 걸렸지만 튼제 걸렸지만 내 두투에기 오다 지금 가서 근데 그 튼제라 딱 앉아 줘 단다데 가서래다 지금 가서래 단다데 장주가 셈 개발 제와라 뭐저 뒤쪽으로 왔다 개발 제도 아니 초산 제단 제도 아니 가서다 단다데 가서다 누가参加我的 去效果接受过的交流他们就那个就请我是我当个这个가서다 되게 yala du kona chosa jibja chege wata de jitbe kala ta ngwa chebe ngwa so ta kanja chi ore ta ngwa chebe kala ya ane samlo dige nga je chap tugen chena samlo dige nga le tugen chena ta da kaso da ta kanja chi ngwa chebe kala ya an dige nga chap tugen so chena what sungu yor wata what je
And so in the course of this kind of dedication, one is here, of course, having generated the mind of enlightenment. And so one is trying to dedicate as skillfully and as profoundly as possible by, having the spirit of the six perfections pervading one's dedication as well. And also understanding that it's not just a very simple kind of formulaic dedication. One is considering all of the obstacles to good health, all that is necessary to provide the best quality care and so on. And so that if one is ill, one is seeing the problems in being ill from one's own experience, perhaps. And then, in order to understanding that in order for that person to recover, that they have a lot of conducive conditions that must come into play, such as being able to have access to a doctor, that doctor will be skilled in being able to pinpoint what is wrong. The medicine then must be available if one can afford the medicine and so on. If one needs an ambulance, will that ambulance come on time? Will there be any obstacles on the road as the ambulance goes to the hospital, etc., etc., etc.? So it's kind of a very much more extensive contemplation here that pervades one's dedication.
다 어디서 다 내놔서 가서 가게 치주대 안데 다때네 아니 제금 야 사야 통에 매와 되네리야 고 가게 치주줄 왔다 되는서 소바 제금 세도 너무 아니 자왈려서 세다 꼼게 차밥대 제다 꼼에 녀바세 무게 깨봐 바외세 다지 세다 다니 세다 꼼도 줄쳐.
And so just as our health and the lack of that, our illness and sickness and so on is a big issue in our lives. And so is getting adequate sustenance, having enough food and drink to be able to sustain us. And so verse number 9 deals with dedicating so that all hunger and thirst is eradicated. And verse number 9 it says, may a rain of food and drink descend to clear away the pain of thirst and hunger. And during the Eon of Famine, may I myself change into food and drink.
다만 이제 제금게 동안은 땡금게 강에 치게 들어 동안 남라 아니 세다 검게 철법돼서 세다 저거다 철법돼 아 사돈 나서베 아니 제바도 검게 녀바 타다 아니 세 녀바서 세 녀바 사다 개바 바마 숨레 무기 개바 바웨세 다네 다루다 어디게다 지단에 아니 세다 검 강에 가바테다 되게 세 검요에 아니 개바도 단 아니 제가서 개바 다 루아다 같이 가서도 무기 개바 루아다 무기 개바 바웨세 판다 총기 개바다 아니 다 무기 개바다 아니 가서다 다 가서 조에 개바다 중하게 그 녀석 축정부 요네 아니 강에 태대 아니 무기 강에 태대 아니야 총기 강에 태대 근데 뒤주들의 용화 예비지 안 천전 나서왜 팬이야 강에 태대 나서 여대도 다다다 뒤까지 봐도 무기 개바 태베서 다 무기 개바 태베서야 아니 가서다 태 바에 채야 다네 심제 대다지 안 세다 꼼도 주나 다 심제 대다게 아니 세다 꼼도 주나 제꼼 단자 신노바 교지 제보고자.
And so this dedication takes into account the torment of hunger and thirst, and that dedicating that a rain of food and drink may descend with great variety, so that that particular harm of hunger and thirst may be completely eradicated. And that dedicate this, particularly to also understanding that within the three countless great eons, there is the intermediate eon known as the Eon of Famine, and that with other eons as well that where there's particular problems associated with particular eons, such as the eon of arising and so on. And then this eon, this intermediate eon of famine, that I'm dedicating, that I myself may turn into food and drink, and so that to pacify the abiding characteristic of that eon, one of hunger and thirst, and may this be so.
Yeah, what in the gender? That can get to Casso de Tedege, and the Chidan Checum Kava Yoba in and the Checum de that say again. Touching to Checum de that say to Kari, what did they say to come to and so a little bit junior watch here. Said to Balset, come to Balcom, what they can chair. And how don't the Mugiki of a power setter, say, can they show you in Bayinsa, and the Anibet Chicasso de Corazo, the nigger to any non taken Tetaki, say, Maribe, Manibe, to any non taken Tetaki, and said the Comke, and all junior Tetaki, and Cassorta, Casso de can't take a long chat about the nigger to a show, so what that did this watch it and go to what the chat. Tangani up, Chibarwa, Songi Kabat, Jubecha, and Songi Kabati, and a Jomi again, Twinja Caricona, and a teacher to a shows. Rua, tap the negative, tap negi Kaba Pavesata, the bed neck chumney. Zamulation for a neg chapter, and back on a shift to 10. She was a 10, and that touchy a child, young cover, that and the bed take net on the Shireke, and it's a man to junior. And the Ganga launch in a net on the Shiwaji young shows. What a tap and a Tana was a Garner Waters sort of some of the in there. What I think they get neg Ganga chat again, and it near Shiwachi, near never check, and change a career at the war junior, and watch it. You good what? You good what did the gym?
So here, of course, one takes into account any hunger, any instance of thirst, wherever and whenever it occurs, one's dedicating for its completely eradication. And just entering on here, the periods like this, the intermediate eon of famine, that in particular one becomes that becomes one that, yeah, food and drink and whatever is necessary for people to be satisfied. And also in periods of illness or marked by illness and sickness, that one becomes the medicine and so on, whatever is necessary for the recovery from those particular states.
Marazo Miga Sona Mama said Nomo to some the catch and would say, and Nomo to some Shawan to shoot some tea, Cheto Taka take us the new 10, and they shoot somebody that anywhere Sonamba, Sonam to get the pass there on the and it Mogoy and Nesu shoot younger. And it neg can shoot the 10, and man to the new man to get the kind of Zeg Nuba, and the Kataza Marazo Zeg Nuba and Marazo Migi. Until long check, Sonam Tilatel Yonde, and then let Yabachana Satu, and then Solam Yaga did the mass and then Solam Sango Samata, and Kansasana, and then medical and Nuba making cha, Mangi Pema over Chai. What did it? And it said to get there, and then Sayag to get together, and to get less and was a son of Latin Yongo, and then together to Zilla Mammy. Meanwhile, Inaya, and Shenga Pachek Onge. Chungagi never onge, and it Tata came out to at the Rama to anything negative movie Kaba Yonte. Taka the Chungi Kaba. Tachi, Pentecost Tanda, the Chungi Kaba Yonegi, Marazo Tanda Twinge Jacket to a Kega Chibu, what you get Twinge and a Lakala Vegetani, and a Lak, and a Nigga Namjuge, and a Teriga Yaja watching a Dilla, Chimbati, and a Peju Lokatani, Tilla, Chicken Sudim down, and the Castle and the Chicken. Sangje Dang, and his Garora, that Jamba the Ninja that Dendege, Samlo Matan, Koranke, Leba, Nubalet, and a can't sort to talk on a Samotani. And it did the Miga Sangje Dang, and Tikuna Gogo Yome that they do a Samlo Matan, and the social again, Casota, social tended to sort to Susana, Casa sort to the Nuba Koran, Tikan, Pengo Nugu, the Samlo Matan, and then Yomoto, so they should chat the and if I like that top chumbo shoes and Chick Beju Tama and Zambulan Ganga never saw to it, the nigga knew what in there. Good one, song good one. What I did Ganga, 성기 개바 주에게 딱 자지 지금 열어 봐. 자지로 지기도 와. 자지 지금 열어 봐. 어떻게 된대 전에 아니 다 diga yong diga towa ta diga daga ani wata kanje dende je jungwe ondo tangba yinba yina di kabla ani dende shiwa jewe ge ani chunje la juwa shos ani ngwa che dende yonguro wa dende ge shitu ya dende meba sotu we ge ani jiga dende sotu ge nyuba cheba che ani dende ge tam jiga so de uti yina re kari yina dende ge ani ngwa dende ani nyokta dende ma jungwa sotu ya ta wata dende jula ngwa ya ta ina yonguro wa ta kanja 성기 이바이나 다 다가네 제 내나서를 봐 다다 가르나 와르스가 되게 다 되잖아 나라도 상주의 마냠 아니 나자 담아래 아니 대권 딱 그게 술 채운 것도 이나 단다 이네 미소는 오스가 탑시 떠서 두가 다 남지나 탑시 싸원이네 매바지 가서는 나라도 손은 배세네 아니 매라 누가 매바 가야 누가 매바지 니마지 차가 가서 되게 그 맹은 누가도 제가 누가로 와 제가 누가도 간서는 코로나 리미테이션 요래 근데 미소놈다 저와 요래 레상보다 저와 요래 가서 레상보 누가 배소라 냠사소나 뒤가 누가 매바 차도 봐. 다 근데 차네 맹그 누가 매바 차네 아니 지금 어떤데 그 창호도 아니 다그 내기 개바 방원데 아니 소소 대다 탐제 아니 시와 제외게 아니 저 가서다 문에 전에 저 펜토트에게 매 개발제지 대대 차네 아니 대다 탐제 내 탐제 소 펜토와지 요 규리 주어 쇼스 어떤데 그 삼로다에 또 가서 딱 가자 삼바케네 어디를 제대로 와 어디를
So of course, that's one's dedication for all of these issues to be pacified, to be eradicated, such as illness, hunger, thirst, and so on. It's also necessary that the individuals have that kind of merit to combine with that to make all these means effective. And so it's very important that that's taken into account as well. That one needs merit to be able to avail of medicine, and that for that medicine to be effective as well. And so it's important to take that into consideration, and that in some times where we don't have that merit, even though we have access to the best of medicine, best conditions, and so on, and a good health system, yet there's no power in it from our point of view. That no matter what we do, we don't seem to recover. And so it's very important that we are in that situation, that we have enough merit there to kind of be able to ripen what's necessary for us to recover in the service that we get. And so that means that in terms of food and drink as well, that we're able to take the nutrients of it, that it is adequate to our needs. And so we have to be aware too that in countries where we have this emphasis on business above all, and profits above that as well, that there's so much emphasis in that way on material gain that there is therefore not enough focus on inner qualities such as ethical conduct or developing love and compassion of really looking out for others and so on. And so with that, and that is kind of like really, in general, reducing the store of merit for that whole system, for that whole kind of country, for example. And so that means that that the conditions that are there, even though one is living in now a rich society, that for example, health conditions may not have that ability to be of benefit to people because they don't have the store of merit to be able to combine with the medical system in that country. And so when we are dedicating it this way as well, we try again to really give as broad a spectrum to our dedication as possible, to make it as comprehensive as possible, so that, for example, if we're dedicating for the effectiveness of medicine and the medical fraternity and so on, that we are dedicating that in those countries where they are emphasizing other material acquisition, that they have more enlightened leaders, that we dedicate that they are elected, and that they have the power to re-emphasize, refocus that country into a kind of a more effective way in the long term, so that there should be no conflict and so on in that country, that somehow a halt is put to the degenerating ethics in that country, and so because if we don't, it's exhausting the general store of merit, so that then all beneficial things will have no power, because there's no merit to back them up. And so we're dedicating here also for good leadership, and good leadership that's capable of making wise choices.
아니 저거 총기 되게 돼 시와제게 저 가서래 딱 시와제게 딱 가져 누가 개발제 주네 시투와 불와 어떤데 시와게 tun제까지 거기네 어디 tun제들의 교육과 된다 아니 뭐게 된대체 아니 내가 개발보다 된대체 어떤데 시투에 누가 교회 어떤데 뭐 제도다 시와 누구 주에 주는 거 아니 자war래 심지어 포지 우와라 다니 미세 때주대 요제 코고 나서서 되나냐와 내주 직스
The fourth of these subheadings is to dedicate for the rising of whatever is desired, and that this is verse number 10, which says, "May I become an inexhaustible treasure for those who are poor and destitute. May I turn into all things they could need, and may these be placed close beside them."
다 심지어 요제의 본시 따로 튼제의 본시 카드 좋아그 요제의 본시 의와다니 로아다 의와다니 롱주 미세베 때도 주데스 로아다가 롱주고 풀 심지어 요제의 본시 딱 소소그 고예의 튼제 딱 대사의 튼제 이나라스 다 제가서데 고에다 셀라 소베 튼제 이나다 가르고고요네 로아 엔 다간시 셰유의 튼제지 맞다 그래서 고고요 바이네 우와 다니 아니 롱주 미세베 때도 주다 튼제 때다 로다까지 세다 다까지 대사가 튼제다 다 가리고 이번에 된데게 미세베 때도 주나 미세베 다 그래 때 가자 롱체면 조주베 된데 때도 주다 지도베 요제 코고 나서 다 그래서 고고 이번에 나서 뭐 주네 때티 뭐를 주네 의시 풍바되다게 튼도 내원내 의시 풍바되다게 튼을 뺐다 무투네 내네 내버 규칙 제고 보자 어느 것 가제네 배 롱제 그래서 딱 그냥 풍바면 맞아 롱제 투 얘기 어떻게 튼도 내잖아 규칙 제고 보자
So this verse is taking into account all those who are poor, who are destitute, who are bereft, that may I be a treasure of what is needed, an inexhaustible treasure that never runs out. And so whatever they might need in terms of a place to live or food and so on, the whole variety of necessary things, that and in order that that want or that destitution may be again eradicated. And not only that, but I will place them all close to these people who are these beings who are bereft and poor.
어디를 딱 이제 딱 이제 초진에다 소소 개와사와 되게 뭐 지거를 초진에 소소 셈때 자심을 깨기도 셈 자견다 오늘 전에 아니 제세가 좁아 그래서 라고 있네 아니 가슴에 봐 준 거로 와 좋아 딱 거저 라마도에다 아니 중마도에 중에 타게마도에 같은 거저 삼로그 내세도 당 삼로그 아니 뉴바데 당금에서 좋아 다 뒤에서 아니 저거 된데를 때네 아니 로 아니 제가 저다 샘 코라라다 누가 가서다 산게 누가 요트 아니 자세가 좀 라비라 누가 요와도 시험 거르다 얘네 다른 것도 내 당보와 임바 인사 한 삼로그 내세도 구수 돕고 충분히 요 말와 아니 랑 전생 그좀 대조치면도 요 말와 다 되는데 마치 어디 랑 전생의 구조 자서 매고 송부도
And so here, on the one hand, we're discussing a particular act of dedication. But on the other hand, also, we're trying to expand the capacity of our mind. And so here, of course, on the, from our own thinking and so on. And so it's kind of like from the mind's point of view, it is limitless as well in how it can grow and what it can take on. But we're talking about ourselves as the beginners here, often working with a very narrow perspective. And so it's important to be able to get to think about these verses in such a way that we really broaden our perspective and to kind of really shake us into really taking account of the bigger picture.
어디라자 다 니와 짐베 파체 냠술 렘베아사 야라 모두 류 롱조 계사 동야 삼바 장발로 숨자 삼바 장발로 숨자 어제다 그래서 류 롱조 계사 동야 삼바 장바 아니 개와체 개와 아서 취미서베 주로 멤버 그래서 롱조베 주로 멤버 어제 멤버 어제 숨자
And so the next outline is looking at the branch practices of giving one's body, one's possessions, and one's roots of virtue, as in the context of practicing the perfection of generosity. And this has three subheadings: how to set one's motivation for the giving of one's body, one's possessions, and one's roots of virtue. And then aspiring that the virtue necessary may never run out. And thirdly, that aspiring to create the causes for these possessions and so on that they may be given. So we're talking about the first one of those three here, the setting of one's motivation for the giving of the body, possessions, and roots of virtue.
다 류로제 겨서 동야 삼바 장와들 숨지나 동야 취 녀바 동식배 좀제 아니 당의 지달 주배 취로서 오더 삽자 숨자 당보 동야 취들라 다 동야 취들라 자와래 류당 대신 롱주당 조선 개와 탐제장 점제 군제 전주치 통반매바 당월 자스.
And that with regard to the first, then is how to give. Secondly, the reasoning why it is right to definitely give. And thirdly, having given, then what to do afterwards. The root text says, verse number 11, without any sense of loss, I shall give up my body and enjoyments, as well as all my virtues of the 3 times, for the sake of benefiting all.
다지 다 소소게서 류당 다 류당 아니 안 대신도 아니 다 소소 튕겨지면 세다 고라 소베 롱주당 다가 내신게 아니 뒤숨도 사베 안 개와 탐제 자 아니 개와 탐제 대다 탐제자 셈쟁 군제 아니 되니 주베죠 셈쟁 군제에서 아니 되니 아니 주베치도 아니 르 가서 다다 가서 르 펑바매 봤잖아 또바 매 봤잖아 아니 당와 차오스 셔보자
토니게나 가서 디 선남장 예시기
오다 가서 스템제데다 탐제 셈제데다 탐제다 가자 저 때도 되게 토발라 아니 선노가 이시 초마서 뭐 조사 요 말와 그러와 선놈들 이시 초마서와 땡게 선노서 이시 마서와 저 땡데 대화 토바서 미시 말와다 그 땡데 그 선놈들 이시 초 어느 초스 마사바 사바 관내 관도 패외게 아니 주로 아니 더 방법이 보자 딱 또밤에 봤잖아 땅게 있어 그러와서 좋아
And so, so here, this verse is saying that to be able to give one's body, and likewise all one's possessions, or in the verse it says here, one's enjoyments, such as food and clothing, etc. And all of the virtues that we've accumulated in the 3 times, all of which are dedicated in order that all sentient beings may establish the 2 purposes, that is accumulating merit and wisdom. And I'm doing this without any kind of regret or any kind of feeling of any kind of, how do you say, desire for or hope for something in return. And that again, also pointing out that these, if one is dedicating for the definite happiness of all those sentient beings, then of course they need to really accumulate the 2 collections of merits and wisdom that are key to being able to fuel one's progress on the path and to eradicate any obstacles that they may meet along the path.
디메도 랑가 심바 니바지 요 말했습니다. 니바도 제고 그랬어. 제가 담가 요 말했어 여러분다. 다 삼로 코마도는 다가래. 다 삼로 문에 당신 게 지만은 담가 제요 봐서 니바도 똥으로 좀 젤라 니체. 니체는 탐제라 착바 방식. 아니 다외 냥에 토바 당자. 셈제 진배 신 초이마 딜라 똥을 봐 우시. Hello? 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 네. 야구요. 뒤 냠래래.
네, 소파게 냠냠.
컨트롤 쳤다. 컨트롤 랍다. 냠래랬어. 야. 또 뭐니?
Never dang rig by himself.
nhiều ta như thế sẽ có rõ sự mà số như vậy nhiều vậy tạo ra bên trong là như thế này tham gia cái tham gia là chắc bảo bảo hiểm sa当然两个的话头吧甚至而且前边新创意吧因在这了多少吧我说感觉他我让这个他感觉这个他说的点点这两面嘛真的他去写没吧他感觉你吧都顶能写起他我那张的这个他说的前面里边他的日本养大个团呢什么当呢让대화对这东西没对吧让这他们这대화主编的马主那他们给让这他们这대화主编给那他们那没吧点点这什么嘛当那当时写没的个你把这什么当然没的个我在点点因为现在我的就在你国内练不多但也把的结果去
So we've arrived at that outline which says that there's a reasoning behind why it's correct to engage in these practices. We definitely need to practice generosity to give, and so it's here saying really saying that to reach the point where there is no alternative but to engage in these practices. That once something is established through valid reasoning, And they're saying that the benefit to us and ourselves and others is there. And these two reasonings are now going to be presented to prove that it is absolutely correct to engage in such generosity. And so this first reasoning is that through abandoning attachment for everything, one is able to attain the state beyond sorrow. And the second is that because due to the reason that sentient beings are a supreme field for the practice of generosity, it is correct to give. So with regard to the first one, how through abandoning attachment to all, one wins the state beyond sorrow. Verse number 12, the first part, which says, by giving up all, sorrow is transcended, and my mind will realize the sorrowless state.
Ask the grandma need to drink coffee or not?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Another explanation coming in from the side there again.
냥을 때바 톱스 냥을 때바 톱 주그레스 오다가제 데데게 라라 루이요바 롱주요바 안 뒤숭 객사 요바티 아니 가자 되다 때바 제두고도 나 냥을 때바 톱스나 아니 바 땐도 디게 톱두고도 냥을 때바 톱두고도 와스 톱 두그레스 아니 로다 데데 따와이나 냥을 때바 또 다로 다기 로야 미네 냥을 때바 두고봐 입에서 오다 진짜 소소야 다 대화 동에 믿고 이제 다 냥을 대화 마도고 봐도 대화 땡겨봐지 매봐 인자 아니 다글로야 미네베 냥을 대화 줍되고 왔어 줍되봐 입에서 줍되고 요랬어 되봐 이마 인자 오다 데데 제와마다 탑지 셔봐 요 말했어
And so here it's pointing out that through our being able to give our body, our resources or enjoyments, and the virtues, that the store of virtue that we've accumulated over the 3 times to all sentient beings, that the result is that we attain the state beyond sorrow. And so again, likewise, our minds here will be in the state of non-abiding nirvana. And so this is something that is worth attaining. So here saying that, this is what makes all of these resources that we are giving freely meaningful. That which makes our body, our possessions, our roots of virtue meaningful. And to say that, this is the only way to attain such a state. There's no other kind of alternative way to attaining that state beyond sorrow or nirvana.
저 답변나 단답보다 가서 수칼로는 싸워이나 깨와 토마메버네 랑 룰라요데 에 롱주에 갈라 가자 중요래 아니 객자에 갈라 가서 점점 다 싱도 다 객자야 다또 사되게 요래 좋아다 사되게 요래 다 네가 그가 가와치 벌스나 란 전쟁의 샤완도 전에 소소랑게 쳐도 잖아 삼라다도 아니 그 코에 줄라치네 아니 다 가자 저게 가서 닝보지 렌토마도 왔다 닝보지 렌마도 버려 다 랑게 류롱주 경사다 잡아 탐제 아니 그 두송 제자 잡아 심제 셔라 땅와 임바이나 디다 냥을 대바 토고도 와 냥을 대바 토베데 땅 알아 속에 디기 구조자야 그 디기 되도 거서 디기 기타 탈침 바지 줍토고 이때 아니 다들 고야데 차버다 고야데 차로 와안 당한데 류송게 산제 건강에 제바제네 다 니에데 딘니 바로 왔다 현재제 제다 가서 자주가 셈 겁네 셀라 팜바 주에다 다 딘니 바로 왔다 팜바 주베게 디게 주에 중문에도 가르쳤다 다 현재제를 샤 스티메도 랑전제데 다데 동에게 주면도 디게 주다 제바제데 많이 벌다
And so here it's saying no other way, because, when we look at it from, up till now, in all the lives that we have had, we have had this, body, possessions, life after life, and even accumulated a little root virtue. And so, but we've been so dominated by the self-cherishing mind that they have only been used in the kind of context of generating causes for further cyclic existence, for that kind of revolving cycle of cyclic existence. And that, so we haven't been able to take the essence. We haven't really grasped the opportunity that has been there for us. And so it's very, very important that if we have such a body, resources, and even some virtue, that we're able to use it in the right way, as pointed out in this verse, to give it away, to be absolutely generous with it all. And this is the way to attain in nirvana, and ultimately to gain that ultimate sense of happiness. And so it's kind of like, this means that we have to kind of turn that ship, huge kind of tanker around, and to kind of say, move away from the self-cherishing attitude to the attitude of cherishing others, to work within the mind of enlightenment itself, and to see that benefiting others is the only way. That formula is to give to others, to whatever is necessary for their happiness, to benefit them in every possible way. This is the way of making all of what we have meaningful.
아니 다가는 생각 빼나 랑기 론체바 있네 생기도도 랑 론체인데 아니 디센도 차도도 와 셀라 당바자 빼나 차즈라 모두 빼나 대사기 튼제 이나다 사예게 칼라 이바나 고예게 두로 이바이메나다 되게도 뭐죠 나라도 고고도 와 고고 요도 다 란진생 온게 제바 이나 라신이갈 페모도 와 차기도 와다 생기 되주베 치도 랑기 루소고도 생기 되주베 치도 아니 랑라 튕게 고고 도스네 아니 랑게 롱제바데 생기 되로 롱제바 이도 아니 냥에 되게 줄을 줘되기도 와. 단 셰스 자처뭐 되게서도 와. 생기 된다라 안 되주베 치도 랑게 루 대단고도 룰라 누바 고고도 아니 디체도 아니 세 롱제치 아니 되게 제어도 안 디야 현도를 차도도 와. 루아 다 간제 지금 랑게 무슨 랑게 롱제고 요때 얘네야 굴롱게 시부데 된다데 셀라 페버 주베쳐도 랑게 류 초고야지 제어도 아니 거기 랑게 롱제바데 아니 거기 아니 굴롱데 아니 생게 된게 세바 인사 아니 가서 냥을 때문에 교를 줘 되기도 와.
So we need to really, really work on just changing of emphasis. For example, we have a place to live is necessary for us. Good food, good clothing, and all is all necessary for us just to live. But we can dedicate that all to others. And not only that, but to really use it as our focus, that I'm wearing clothing in order to be able to go out and benefit others, to do so, fulfill the needs of others. And looking after the body. Why? Because I need to be healthy to really benefit and work for the benefit of others. Even the food that I am eating, just to sustain myself in order to have the energy to go out and benefit others. So everything is other focused. And so that with that kind of motivation, that we live in a place, we eat, we kind of take care of our bodies and so on. We use our resources, gain our resources. Why? Because we can better be able to help others, to focus on the needs and fulfillment of others. This is valid, and this is the way in which we should practice.
对，当然这个是绿龙就现在叫只有是的，让了三路出来当我没的什么的，让了三路当然的，先个对个去准备去的，让了三路当然是多的，先个对准备去的，
So that's when we think of these three of our body, our resources, and our roots of virtue, etc., we say the thinking is that it's not for me, but rather how can I put them to use for others? So you're thinking all the time of benefiting others, of helping others, and so on. So that's a twist in emphasis. No, I'm not thinking my body, my resources, my roots of virtue, but that these are all developed and accumulated for the sake of benefiting others.
但是让错也去，让错的，让捏巴的，你先给顿的捏巴说了，差不多，他修着了，他是吧？让捏巴的，先给顿的捏巴说了，其他，
나기 들어.
嘛哪个嘛的捏巴，让捏巴，让他得不得汤不当，아니这个才能够捏巴的，你先给顿准备去的捏巴去。
Yes, and so it's like even my own kind of existence, my being able to abide in this way, however long I have in this life, all of which is kind of forwardly dedicated, donated for the benefit of others. In other words, we're dedicating everything in our entire life for the duration of that life for others.
我的们都要过，说少嘛的，土嘛的，个小的，这个叫嘛的吧，那个谁吧，土啊，long接吧的，你先给对准备去的 long 接用的，你先了就把差个的。
And so in this context here, we're not talking about, giving up on food and drink and clothing, etc., but rather to say what I have here, the food I have, the drink I have, the clothing I have, the place I'm living in, is all in order to facilitate my capacity for benefiting others. It's dedicated in that way. And that's what, when we talk about dedicating all of our body, wealth and enjoyment and so on, and roots of virtue to others, this is what it means. It's a mental attitude we're talking about.
这里因为啥？给这个绝吧的，可个说了，主嘛这个这吧，当俺那做个三路个主嘛是没忘记，主嘛是没忘记，你可是的主嘛是没忘记，你主嘛都把哈了不的，主嘛都也是差有嘛的，可是主都也有感觉，第二边可说了，可说让给团结这个的，刚才没被团呢，你这个是内头也。 这个差这个样的，但现在要改出去的三路个内在的，但俺那是让个路个有什么节的，俺那什么这个多了，拍把准备这个吧，伊那，俺那个就告诉了，刚才去年没被团呢，俺那去拉全部就这个之类的哇。
And so here, when we talk about, the attitude of the child of the conquerors, they're understanding that it's what they are capable of being able to do with the resources that are at hand. So it's kind of like saying here that one is can be limited in that sense, but in our thinking, in our motivation, it's unlimited. That we are working towards being able to do whatever we can, to give all we can in order to benefit all sentient beings, and in that way we encounter no difficulties.
아니, 다가 이제 랑게 강 땅투바디 땅, 아니 뭐 야고체, 아니 랑 롱체 바디야, 심증가 돌아 롱체고 여바체, 아니 롱체는 소셜 에너지 또 라바디, 아니 심증가 돌아 데디케이트 제게 이마이나, 전수백이 남녀 차되었다.
So we can do the best we can, and that's good enough, and we dedicate that. And that then whatever we make use of for ourselves, that we understand that the energy gained from that is dedicated also to the benefit of others.
다 니바 심제 진배 신 초인배는 될라 동리바 다 심제 진배 신 초인배 될라 동리바 자월래 탐제 동와 차질라 심제 남아 동와 촉심.
And so the second of those reasonings was due to the sentient beings being a supreme field of merit for generosity. This is another reasoning why it is right to give. So the second half of verse 12 says, "It is best that I now give everything to all beings in the same way as I shall at death."
가서다 지금 랑게 라반의 쇼교가 타쳐 사오르와 좋아 탐제 동화 참질라 참지대 동화 자와라 셈제 탐제라 동화 초인다 다 다이 바치과 임발라 아니 셈제 탐제라 다 셈제 탐제라 다 마게 셈제 탐제라 동화이나 다디 초도 주와 님부들 렌토 버렸어 가레스나 텔라테네 안 산제 고마 두고도 왔어 다 디게데 랑게 녜녜도 다 데데 지가 쳐도 디 좀전도 쳐도 다 야나 랑게 쳐도 다 다 데데지잖아 안 코에 줄라 치면도 시부시모다 다 셈제 탐제라 파땅하샤게이나 니르메바제 착담메바제 땅이 바이나 아니 디 산제 고마토베 주로 저거도 왔어 다 산제 고마토베 주고다 저부터도 산제 고마토베 주로 그래 내가 나 차샤와 이네 코알레 때베 링라 이나야 란제 코에게 디기 탐제 셈제가 파바 주발 때는 용 되거든 와 좋아 다 간제 가래 지 랑게 지 짐바 땅와데 랑게 롱지 쥐샤베 소르제는 첼레 체 제말을 배 가서 다추 렌초조 소르 용해 돼 아니 짐바 땅와다 디결 때는 용 되고 요르와 용 되고 요르와 어디를 아니 지 가서 타두고 저주에다 아니 내가 그 마주베링을 아니 랑게 아니 튕겨서 차디기도 와 어디를
Yes, so that here it's quite clear that we can, in terms of our body, our resources, and our roots of virtue, that we can understand that that capacity that we have now is in our own hands, and we give to all sentient beings. It's being the best way to make use of them for sentient beings, our supreme field of merit. And this is also taking the essence of all that we have, and it also results in the state of enlightenment. And so it's a fully validated course of action here. And so it's kind of like if we kind of don't, we can see that we maintain an attachment to all this. We are tight-fisted in our attitudes to others, and that we only create the causes to, again, be revolving in cyclic existence. And so it's very important that we're able to proceed without any attachment, and to have the ultimate goal of attaining enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. But even if we don't attain that ultimate goal, and we're still, we can achieve the temporary goals even while still revolving in cyclic existence, and so that we have the conducive conditions to be able to continue on with our practice.
그래 집에 롱주 팀기 돼서래 그래서 안에 지 가서도 롱주 줘야 돼 아니 집에 당을하더는 근데 지 가서 개와 치마 롱주 야고 좀 맞줘서 아니 나라도 집에 당에 아니 가서도 되게 개와 유미를 알리게 아니 랑게 세다리 롱주야 아니 랑게 생겨만 나서 아니 집에 당마다 알리게 그래 좋아 리카실라 아니 세달라 강에시라 잠먹어 베터네 아니 지금 튕게 렐라부터는 용대지 용되기도 와 가시게 깔래 쉬우지 잡아 이바이네 아니 튕게 두카고 두바이네 랑게 롱체 맞죠야 샤바지가 롱체 조에당 아니 코직제도 가서는 릭트베 줄레 릭트베 저부 용되기 요바인자 아니 코직이 다다 중국문도 와 다다 중국문 되게가 코직이 코직 년령이 교정도 다 교육做的了 집에 당와지면은 용투고 요 말이야. 어들래. 그번에 튕겨라 소바지겠지. 아니 다가네 지금 배는 가서 지금 류대 원투 류대 더 발라. 아니 추좀 쏘라 좀 거죠. 추좀 마서만 원투 류대 용해 거라 요 말이야. 아니 수제고 인도하고 되게돼. 소바 콤라테는 용대로. 콜 릭트백줄래 릭트백 되고 용되겠지. 안 다도는 남게게 줄래 저 되게 좀 어떻게 도 어떤데. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
No. Reso?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, otocha. And that may take us that to get at the Kavalina Hakumaso in a that Simjan shortest. Takaja Tamja Towa chapter Towa Jawala, Simjan Nala Tawa the Choi in the Sanja, Dilat in the Sanja Kuba Togu to us. Sanja Kuba Togu to us, what did it? And Tarnish Takaja Simjan dance to a ramp long match of a Simjan Takijamar. Takaja Simjan get turned to be Chetan, Simjan Tawa. Rang long Java Inata, Shell Tawa Inata, Takaja Simjan turned to be Cheto. What then to be Cheto? And it and it go that's so can't down to a Simjan. La can't to what the town dear, Simja Tamjek to Sanje combat to be to Tanya. And a rangi long Java in Simja Tamjek to Sanje combat to be to long Jene, and the and a peju tongue to a chair. What are the Jena Simja Town? What did it?
Yeah, so we're looking at the reasoning behind the generosity and practicing generosity. So basically, if we, have, we should give. Now, that can be in order that we ourselves give to ourselves, in order that we work for other sentient beings and dedicate solely for other sentient beings, or give directly to other sentient beings where it's more skillful and so on. The idea is that it's important because it's that virtue which can not only lead to ultimate enlightenment if we fall short, that we have the conducive conditions again to continue with this pure practice. And so the fact of whether we have or not to give depends on our practice of generosity. And so that's the key component here. And so, in a future life, if you haven't practiced, you find that it is difficult to be able to earn a living. If one does earn enough, then maybe one is not able to make use of it. It's stolen, or it's taken from your power, and so on. And so it's because every action that follows must it must work in accordance with the cause that created it. And so when we are talking about generosity, and we are talking about really dedicating, regardless of whether we're actually making use of it ourselves or dedicating for others, giving to others so that they can use it. But we're doing both with the motivation to work for the benefit of other sentient beings. This has to be the same. So we give as best we can. And if we are using whatever we have for our own selves in order to maintain our status quo, we are doing so only because this is going to give us the energy to work for others.
Samlo tone di korto baja di jinchebe making a simjare and a tare ngala and a pepper to a cook up jide and the insa simja tamjeg do and saja goma to be take it till a pepper to be some java yina and the put simja shella tamata chibatam or dogwa what to do it.
We should take a special notice of our parents, our friends, our relatives, our children, and so on. Those with whom we have this close relationship. Yes, we can give to them directly. That's very recommended. But not thinking that, oh, this is my mother, my father, my child, my relatives, and so on. But rather, this is an opportunity for me to give to all kind mother sentient beings. Simply that they're presenting the opportunity for me to be able to give with that mind of enlightenment motivation. And so it's a very worthy and very convenient practice to be able to do. And so this is kind of like simply giving us the opportunity to practice generosity within the context of the perfection of generosity.
아니 다 무슨 대 짐바 당와데 마음발라 심자 탐자라 되는 시 짐바 당 두바 쇼스 짐바 당의 주를 주와 쇼스
And again, to supplement that dedication, to say through my giving here today, may it be the cause for my being able to give directly to all sentient beings in the future.
어디를 잡아내 아니 대과 집에 취자야 아니 랑게 아니 지금 가서 저 가서다 지금 너게 닝부시 렌투도 와 닝부 렌투도 와 어디를 다 들대 샤샤가 대샤다 뒤뒤섬도
And that this is not only that becomes a Mahayana practice, but it also is actually taking the essence out of the situation. So we'll leave it there today. Time is almost up. I'm sorry for sucking all the time out today with my technological difficulties.
널 캐라 누주 말이 랑이 같은데 랑이 지원을 다 가져져 벌써 뼈만 다 맞잡아서 삼로다 아니 뒤때도 다 동행한 걸 세들 라면 투배 공부 아니 젠더 빨리 잡아 라면 다 지원 가는 구조도 못 찾았어 선대자 담배 가서 네배 가서 수명을 때도시나 산재 고마마도 버데 제 소소 삼서 고바시 아니 야라도 맨데다 잡아 어떻게
And so we again in our conclusion we work with the visualization that we have placed in front. First of all, presenting lotus, sun, and moon disk mandala seat on our own crown, rather, through reflecting on renunciation, the wisdom of selflessness, and the mind of enlightenment, and then stating the verse, entreating verse, "O glorious and precious root Guru, come take your lotus and moon seed placed here on my crown. Keep me safe in your kindness. Bestow on me the attainments of body, speech, and mind." Doing this thrice. At the end of the first, the figure moves from the space in front. At the end of the second, arrives on our crown. At the end of the third, we have the certainty that they will remain with us until we attain the state of enlightenment. We rejoice in this fact and offer the practice of the 7 limbs and the mandala.
아니 랑이 닝데 빼마다 제철 주소 섬사샤 년주가 섬 닝 빼마다 제철 전에 돈이도 베셔라 섬로스다 엔데 로티 아니 니마 긴고 냐가 와치 오다 빼메데 녀소 섬사샤 아니 안데는 섬제 담제도 산자 고바 뉴원이 봐도 정말 토바치기 산자 자주가 섬제 섬로다 아니 데데 로티 아니 다위 긴고치 주소서 빼빼 니메데도 근데 이제 빨리 저 라마를 무슨 다기 닝가 빼면 그래 구수도 좀 그래서 선대처럼 담배 가서 빼 니베 가서 수배 땜죠 산자 고마도 제 소소 서서 고마시
And then on our own heart center, we established the lotus out of reflecting on renunciation, the of cyclic existence being in the nature of suffering. From that very mind, the lotus arrives, and then from reflecting on the lack of objective existence of all phenomena, just that mere absence of the object of negation, arises the sun disk mandala representing wisdom. And then from that attitude, we wanting to work as quickly as possible to attain the state of enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings, comes the moon disk mandala representing the mind of enlightenment.
어디죠? 아니들 빨리 저 라마로 다인가 비가 가지고 구수도 뭐 선대처 담배 가서 빼 니베 가서 스메가 땜죠 산자 고마마도 제 소소 아니 되네 빼마 다 니마다 이제 어디 아니 빼마 마 카조 나고 닝 내다는 신내 제대로 아니 가서다 도저 가고 생각봐 제가 지금 인더스 카제 되겠지 아니 뒤에 타고도 아니 저 가서 또 매청가 다이도 뭐는 마음서 문 다이도 뭐는 스트레 또 매청가 좀 무슨 거 되겠지 되네 아니 되네 오마라 바자 나티티티 잡에 무슨가 아니 좀 무슨 거 되겠지 되네 되는 거 오면 얘다 마시더라는 거 샤만에 소 어떤데 거 되겠지 고바시
And then we issued the invitational verse again, "O glorious and precious root Guru, come take your lotus and moon seed placed here at my heart. Keep me safe in your kindness. Bestow on me the attainments of body, speech, and mind." After the first recitation, the figure moves down through our crown chakra, down through the central channel. At the end of the second, arriving at our pre-prepared seat, and at the end of the third, we feel that they are established there until we attain the state of enlightenment. Again, we rejoice. Again, we offer the practices of the 7 limbs and the mandala. And then the petals of the lotus fold over and are sealed at the tip by a 5-pronged semi-white vajra. Then they are surrounded by the mantra, the name mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha, in a clockwise direction, the mantra of Manjushri in an anti-clockwise direction, and the mantra of dependent arising in a clockwise direction again.
아니 되네 랑게 닝게 요소 라마 투야 원내바데 구송토를 위해서 빠도 매버트는 랑게 지원에 간디가 벌어 위해서 주발었잖아 아니 저거 토와매반 디바드 저번에 개바주다 아니 류고라 사체바 소체바 아니 마침발레바 미상와 쳐봐 주요 참마 측종하게 나서서 로달을 쓰면 아니 지금 이게 좀 뭔가 추천다 겨워 아니 다가니 저게 가서데 라제 칼라브데 냐바 컨데서 데다 개와 냐바 컨데서 사이 바테다 다가니 저 소다 또바 자주스베 라바 상하게 다세다 겨와 다가제 파다 마라 마구발서 버 주보 로벨로 마구바서 다가제 조사바 수바잖아 마구발서 바 다가제 냐바 컨데서 사이 바 있네야 바 장제 다바 중수 상서 장제 다네 장제 다바 중수 상서 아니 라도도 다가제 저 소소고 루기 나자 셈게 동네 중식 코니만요 바 칼레이베 중식 코니요 바 자주 자롱티레 경가는 대교대가 잔 다저 아니 가나 단제 다바람장 맛이 차도가 야고 중수 섬사 고마시.
And then we reflect on from within the enfolded petal, the figure within emanates countless arrays of light pervading our entire body-mind system from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet, and eradicating all the negativities that we have accumulated since the beginning of this time, and particularly centering on the negativities of body, speech, and mind, of the killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, or those of speech, referring to lying, harsh speech, divisive speech, and idle gossip, and those of mind, being covetousness, malicious intent, and a wrong view. They also eradicate all naturally occurring faults, all prescribed by the Buddha, all vows that have been contravened or broken, be it from the Pratimoksha vow system, the Bodhisattva vows, or the Tantric vows, and that all negativities, whatever negativities have been accumulated, they are completely purified, and that the any karmic there that lead to disease or sickness or illness, that's completely nullified, and that also the imbalance in the 4 elements are the channels, winds, and drops. They are rebalanced. That all negativity is completely gone, as well as its imprints, and that that also the main problem we have for quickly attaining the state of enlightenment, this common or ordinary appearance, is replaced by pure appearance. 아니 저 라마샤자스가 꾸들 현재 지금자 소소류의 라마샤자 꾸를 주소서 소소신도 처에 셈데 녀랭게자 라마샤자스가 투들 현재 지금자는 소소셈데 라마샤자스가 투를 주소서 랑게 룽아 예수다 라마샤자스 구소통고 예매 주소서 디 대와테 대외 동바데 대돈이스마 이시께서 삼사차 아라 내사게 내디야 라마샤자스 지게는 다베시도 주소서 어디로 공부자. And so, through the combination of my own more subtle wind, with the acting as the substantial cause, with the body of the Buddha acting as the cooperative conditions, my own body is transformed into the enlightened body of the Buddha. Again, through the combination of my own more subtle mind acting as the substantial cause, with the mind of the Buddha acting as the cooperative conditions, my own mind is transformed into the enlightened mind of a Buddha. And that this then I see myself arising as a fully enlightened being. This produces knowing that my body, speech, and mind are inseparable from the body, speech, and mind of an enlightened being. I experience a sense of bliss, which brings on this sense of voidness, and I abide in the wisdom of dawn, jewel bliss and voidness. And the place I am in also is transformed from its ordinary appearance into the enlightened abode of an enlightened being.
And that took a source of the Chavaka, you then no matter what talk about Pata Samre, so they what they talk about, they what they talk about the Tedonius way she gets some such.
And that then, through my own self as a fully enlightened being, I sent out countless rays of light equal in number to all the sentient beings in all the realms of existence. Upon touching them, they are completely purified and arise as fully enlightened beings. That their place of being also is transformed from what it is into a pure realm. And then I realized that all of what I am engaged in, leading all these sentient beings to the state of enlightenment, all the
다다다 소소 메바 이제가 삼로도 문에 데려라로 가이데 이내다 장게 단다 삼로 땅완에서 문에 코라 데데 제토바지 용에게네 아니다 교류 교화쇼 아니 뭐다 데데 용에게네 튕게상 개견의 대화지 용화쇼 소와들스 뭐체 어들스 그래서 할로 다음부터 개문도 당고 좀 고와 될 상태도 야 오케이 개와데 예요노다 라마 산게얼 조조네 조와 제자마려바 예예살라 고버라이소 자조 셈조르 모제 마게바나 게조제 게바냐마 메바 고냐 공도 페와라이소 동네 따와르 모제 마게바나 게조 게바냐마 메바 고냐 공도 페와라이소 가레라베 고베 신감데레 판단데와 말르 조엔 제레스와 텐젠 자도 예샤베 시데바도 덴교로이 제어 메어 제어 베데 제어 메어 제 오보자 베야 가이 제어 메어 제어 로산 다이베샤라 소완데 메어 Okay, thank you very much. Everyone, take care.
Thank you,
Okay.
Genla.